Okay. Okay. So we are towards the bottom of page AYIN Zayin. Okay, so at the end of the 4 lines from the bottom, the line begins, he begins Hasoga. So here we are translating all the things that we talked about in the Moshel, how it is in Nefesh Adam, how this is also to be identified Lamaila, in the Lakus, in Atzilus and even higher. So we said that there too there is the Milo Mato, higher and lower. And even in one distinction is Moichin, Chabad versus Midas. And then within Moichin itself there is Chochmah and binah. That is what is the focus of this section over here. Chochmah is Riboy Oyer. There is an overwhelming quality of Oyer. The emphasis of Chochmah is the Oyer. Whereas in binah, and the reason there is in Chochmah there is so much Oyer is because the kelim of Chochmah are very minimal, very translucent, transparent, not a mitzias, and that's why the oil can come through the way it is without a insignificant modification or reduction. But then in binah, which is hasoga, comprehension. And this is the difference between Chochmah and binah. Chochmah is conceptualization. Concept, by definition, comes from a different source than psyche. Comes from higher than psyche. Where is it? What's the origin of the concept? Should I elaborate on this, or we have it clear? You conceptualize a car. Are you conceptualizing a car that has a motor and 4 wheels, or conceptualizing the human function of a car, which is it's not a car at all, which is how you project, you're covering the world. So there is very little kelim. There's no, when you conceptualize a car, you don't have a means to say, oh, it's going to be such and such. First, I'm conceptualizing, there's going to be, I'm looking to make something that will allow movement, unrestricted movement. And then you come and you start identifying it. How can that be accomplished? Before you go there, you go into bimah and say, what are the principles behind it? How is it possible? Not only the final product, but the whole concept. Where are you coming from? So there you will begin to identify, so to speak, the details of that concept itself. Yes, there is movement on the ground and there are means to do it and so forth. So in binah there is which is hasoga. You take the nekuda of Chochmah. Chochmah is a nekuda, just a principle. And in binah, you elaborate on it and you put it into perspective. And you say, yes, here are the possibilities and here is how it can ultimately be accomplished. Therefore, in binah there is kelim. Just in our mashal here itself, we can very readily see that the kelim are those entities, that phase of it, that places the concept on the outside, makes a mitzias out of it. We said many times that even physically, the sight is like Chochmah. When you sight a certain point across a distance, no matter how big the distance or short distance, it's a direct connect. You don't look around across the room by identifying how many feet it is. You go straight there. You go to a completely higher level than the physical structure. When you take this oil, this perception, this reality, and you put it into kelim, kelim means, yes indeed, in this physical environment, I can go across from this point A to point B. Once you put it in those terms, in physical environment, you're already identifying entities and whole concept outside of the human conceptualization. Because in the mind, human conceptualization doesn't think in terms of physical distance. He just goes to where he wants to go. I mentioned many times, the Baal Shem Tov said, "Mokim sheretzoyin shel adam shomhu." The place where a person wants to be, that's exactly where he is. Doesn't need to be transported there. The whole world is not only on his fingertips. The whole world is just identified with his presence. Kelim is where you are going to translate that reality on a practical and on the outside, not in the human level, but in the active level. There you have, then it's a completely different thing. Then you have, it's a mitzias. You have to create a means to move across this terrain, so to speak. To look across, you don't need a means, but to move along across, you have to have a means. And therefore, al-kei, okay, 3 lines on the bottom. Because the chinim of mitzias, al-kei, ha'oir, hu b'chinas miut. And thus the oir in the kelim, in binah, is b'chinas miut. We already spoke about the word bechina many times. And we have a little bit understanding of the Hebrew grammar. B'chinas miut, to translate correctly, means in the bechina miut. Which means that is what contains this oir. The bechina of miut. which means that the oil first in binah begins to be identified on the surface only when you're able to be mamayed the oil. If you are looking at the oil the way it is perceived from Chochmah, you cannot begin to talk in terms of kelim. Only when you begin to admire, to reduce the glory of the oil, then you start thinking in terms of how that applies on the terrain, which is not oil, on the physical terrain. That's when you begin to think in terms of kelim. I use our motion, but this is true in any situation. Binah is where you begin to identify the oil of Chochmah from the outside. Chochmah is how it's perceived mitzad the nefesh odom. I said nefesh odom is unlimited, and it is everywhere where it wants to be. Binah is recognizing the presence of the world and identifying those concepts of the Chochmah as they are to be recognized in the world. Therefore, there you have kelim. These kelim have to be amitzis, have to be fit into a worldly parameters. And therefore, the oil is bibchinas miyud. I said bibchinas miyud means it is geared towards miyud. And it first surfaces when you begin to identify the possibility of miyud, of reduction of the oil. K'maymer Razal, as Chazal say, Gabe mei hashiluach, mei hashiluach, the waters of shiluach of the spring of shiluach, shehoyu mekalchim ki'isar, that they sprouted mekalchim, they flowed ki'isar, just a very small spurt, ki'isar, like an isar, like a little coin.
Little what?
Isar is a coin, like a penny.
Coin? The river flowed like a small coin?
The
trickle.
The trickle, right.
Okay.
Harchevei, when they broadened it out, the flow of the water in Mei Hashiluach, nisma to meimuv. So then the force of the waters that came through were reduced. The water is no longer flowed in the same speed and the same force, but it flowed in a broader definition. But then the force has been reduced. The Hainu, which means to say, the b'chinas miyud hakelim, the b'chinas miyud hakelim, that in the state when there is less than kelim. In other words, when it was coming out in a very narrow spurt. So then, Meir Giluyoy, there was Giluyoy, and you saw the force of the water. And then when the kelim broadened out, nismad hoyer, the oil automatically was reduced. I think we understand this sculpture sufficiently. I mean, We'll probably revisit it again, but to understand the principle that the oil, riboy oil, represents the force of the Yetzer, the rotzen itself, and that's why it's a tremendous force. And the kuda, and one kuda can pierce through a wall, but then when you broaden it out, the opening, and it becomes a barricade, so then that force is reduced. So this is a simple mashal for this principle of riboy oil and miut oil and riboy kelim. V'zehu, and thus this is the principle that we said before. The binah, that in binah liyois or b'chinas yisrachos hakelim, due to the fact, again, b'chinas, I'd like we should think in the usage of this expression. Binah liyois, due to the fact that it is b'chinas yisrachos hakelim. B'chinas means it is geared in that direction. It's looking to make more kelim. That is its focus. And therefore, since its focus is yisrachos hakelim, therefore misma'ed ha'oyer v'agilui. Therefore the oyer and the gilui is reduced.
Why is it looking to make more kelim? Why would that be the goal?
Because the principle of binah is grasp. To grasp, you have to have kelim.
Wouldn't the goal be to implement what was the conception, not
yes,
to make dafka kelim?
That's what it's kelim. How do you implement it through kelim?
Okay, so it doesn't have the goal of just making more kelim. It has the goal of creating or making manifest what was the concept.
True.
Along the way, it needs to.
But the only way to do that is by miut oyer. That's the only way to do it, to grasp it. Excuse me. You have to have more kelim that can grasp, that can accommodate the oil.
Right.
In kelim.
Right. Comes a day we'll have the same level of ore plus kelim. This is like an intermediate, the way the world is now, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
You're concerned, right?
Yeah, I'm just checking. Where's it going? What's going to be? Kelim, okay.
By Matan Torah it says, Kol ha'om royim es hakoynos. Hashem spoke, and speaking comes to a coil, to his voice, to the sound. And it says, Kol ha'om, the entire nation, royim es hakoynos. They see the kelis. How do they see a coil? The Gemara makes a very simple statement. It says, "Matan Torah, royim es hanishma, v'shomim es hanira." That which is normally just heard, they're able to see. That which is normally seen, they're able to hear. In other words, there was not the restriction that the oil has to be, and after in this form and in this case. This would require a longer elaboration, but just pointing out in answer to your question, there is such thing as royim es hanishma. Nishma is binah. Royim es hanishma, Re'eh is Chochmah. So that binah will be in the level of Re'eh. Okay, let's continue on top line. Ukiyodua, as is known. Oh, there is water here. Thank you. Air conditioner is on.
Yeah.
Feels so schwach, but I think
Schwach.
it's on. It's on, yeah?
Yeah, here.
Because I see that the door is on. Okay. Kiyodua de bimah malim al hachochmah. That binah, by definition, malim hachochmah, actually contains and conceals the chochmah. This is a phenomenal thing, and for us it carries enormous significance in a very simple and direct way. The world is a godly creation, and in essence it's a godly miracle start to finish. The more we understand the workings of the world, the less we recognize the miraculous aspect of it, the godly aspect of it. Huh?
The less we recognize.
The godly aspect of it, the miraculous aspect of it. Bimah malim al hachochmah.
Rabbi, you
Ah.
said the Bechinas Yisrachavus HaKelim, not just the Yisrachavus HaKelim. You said Bechinas is it's geared towards that.
Right.
Without Bechinas, it's not geared towards it.
The Bechinas means that is what it's acting towards that direction. Do you understand the difference? Do you understand the point I'm making?
I'm struggling right now with it.
Even on simplest level, simplest experience, learning and knowing. The difference is knowing is that which you already learned. Learning is that which you're currently learning. So after you know it, you have it the whole thing, right? So learning does not add anything, but it's not true. Because while in the time when you're engaged in learning, you're focused in on this union more than even what happens after you know it already. You know it, it's set in its place. The Alter Rebbe explains that the union that occurs in the function of learning Torah, is a phenomenal union, because he takes the words Torah into his mind, that's taking it in, that's halacha, and also he dives into the words of Torah with his mind. That's that's only true only time when he is learning it. Afterwards he has it in him, but he doesn't have that in him. That he is in there. That's bivchinas. Bivchinas is that is the state. That is its state of activity. Uleosid, sorry, at the end of the top line. The Zehu Masha Kosov. And that is implied when the Pasuk says, V'hei nifyodei al hanor, that Uleosid Hashem, V'hei nifyodei al hanor. He lift his hand al hanor, upon the river. What is this infer? The Nohor, the Nohor, he becomes binah. You know that Nohor is referring to binah, because binah flows like a river from Chochmah. Or the Osid, and in the future, that's what the Pasuk that the Hashem will smite the river and split it into 7 armies. So what is the point? The OCD BT will be splitting of the river. What is the pshat? In order to bring forth the gilui of pnimis atayra, the pnimis of Torah. In other words, not that binah conceals the pnimis, the chochmah, but this was actually split open the binah and allowed it to flow from the pnimis. Zehu, the shezehu, which is gilui b'chinas chochmah. This is the gilui b'chinas chochmah in the binah, in the nohar.
To remain on this call, press 1.
The kishem shekriyas yamsuf, which means the following: just as kriyas yamsuf, the splitting of the sea. Ha yahachon olamatan Torah. This was a preparation towards Matan Torah. Why kriyas yamsuf hachon to Matan Torah? The kriyas yamsuf, the koydem Matan Torah, because before Matan Torah, it's a kriyas yamsuf. There was need for kriyas yamsuf. What is that signifying? The yamo bechinas malchus. Yam is the bechina of malchus. Shekoineses umalemes betoicho oires v'atzilus. Malchus is the final sphere of atzilus, from chesed, chochmah, then chesed, all the way down to malchus. Malchus is where all the oires of atzilus are recaptured, contained in this malchus, and there it is ma'alemes. They're actually contained within the malchus and they're concealed. In order to allow for Matan Torah, shezehu gilui atzilus. Matan Torah is a principle of gilui atzilus, the revealing of what's contained in atzilus. Hoya tzarich li is kriyas yamsuf. Kriyas yamsuf. It had to be the splitting of the yam, the hahela, the splitting open of the concealment. This was about Matan Torah, which is Matan Torah naniglis. K'moikein leosid. Similarly, in the future, in the immediate future now, which is the time when the pnimis atayra has to be nisgal, in order to facilitate gilui pnimis atayra, shezehu gilui b'chinas etzem ha'chochmah. Pnimis atayra, gilui, pnimis atayra is a gilui of the bechina of etzem ha'chochmah. This is different between Torah anignis and Torah achasidus, Torah's pnimis. The Chochmah as such, the Chochmah that can be contained and concealed in binah, this is the chitzonius of Chochmah. But the etzem of Chochmah, the essence of Chochmah, the Nekuda itself cannot be contained in binah. And to be Megala, the Etzem HaChochmah, then you have to split open and be Megala directly. So also it will be the time which is Gala Pnimius HaTorah, which means the Gilui of the Etzem HaChochmah, not Chochmah as it can be observed by binah, but the Etzem HaChochmah as Chochmah knows itself. So therefore,
sorry. Usually, you may think of binah or malchus as being the culmination or the expression of, or is the tzilus,
the containers.
Right, for the sake of getting that message out there, right?
Yep.
But here we're indicating that there's some kind of lacking, right? They need to be split, or that something has to happen so that what? So that there won't be any helem, there won't be. But what? Okay. Question is, why would there be helem? They're all about communicating their originator.
In order to communicate, like we said the whole time, you have to reduce the order.
Yeah. So this will be like super communication. This will be the message plus
the way
the light.
it is, the gili, the ways it is in essence. We spoke one time, I said, a person conceptualizes a house. In his mind he projects, this is the house. Imagine if the actual building of the house will occur directly from the way it is in his mind, not translated in architectural kind of drawings, and then build it and try and look for ways to connect the little pieces of wood together. It comes right out from his projection, from the mind. It gets created. It's a different kind of a house. And this is the thing that Pnimis HaChochmah should be in God. Okay, this is it for us this morning. Have a great day.
AYIN